Welcome to all my astrology friends. Welcome to another video with me, Veerle. And it's a video about the Mercury retrograde. Yes, it's that year of the time. It's that year of the time. Oh my goodness. It's that time of the year. 3 times a year, approximately, we've got Mercury going, it seems, backwards. And we're going to have that round in about the 6th of August. And Mercury will be in its own sign at 4 degrees of Virgo. And then it goes from the 6th of August, it goes backwards and backwards and backwards up until 0 degrees of Virgo. And then it goes into Leo. So this Mercury retrograde is not only about Mercury retrograde in Virgo, it's also Mercury retrograde in Leo. And actually, there's a very important aspect that we're having whilst it's going through the sign of Leo. When is that shift from, so the 6th of August, it seems like it stops and it goes backwards. Then around and about the 16th of August, which is in the midst of August, we have that Mercury shifting back into Leo. Then when it goes direct again, this is just for the nerdy ones amongst us and for the ones that want to know the facts. And then I go into the interpretation, this video in general, and then for the 12 signs. So it goes direct again around and about the 29th of August at 21 degrees of Leo. So it will go back up until, 29, 28, 21 degrees of Leo. Then it goes direct again, 22, 23 degrees of Leo, and so on. And it will be going direct at 0 degrees of Virgo again on the 9th to 10th of September. Now, it's totally out of its shadow on the 12th of September. That means that on the 12th of September, Mercury will return to the point where it went retrograde, which is 4 degrees of Virgo. Okay? And then the shadow already started. It already started around the shadow time, around the 21st, 22nd of, no, earlier, the 17th of July. So remember what was happening around the 17th of July and onwards, because that's a team, that was a Leo team, that is going to be very significant during this story of the Mercury retrograde. So what was it for you that, I think my hair is a bit like Leo, isn't it? I'm even, without knowing, wearing a Leo color, I think, the color of the sun. Anyways, I'm digressing. I'm trying to make it a bit lighter, all these details. For those of you who don't like the details, a bit of fun is important as well, isn't it? Playfulness, isn't that Leo? So very important if you want to know your story around what area of life is and what topic is going to be important to reassess. Because the Mercury retrograde is about reassessment. It's about rethinking. It's about coming back to a communication that you did earlier, probably around the 17th of July up until the 6th of August, right? In that pocket of time, there will be stuff that comes up that will have to be reviewed. So it is. It's an energy. It's a neutral energy. A lot of people don't like it, though, including me. I don't like it when I have to go back to something that I thought was already done, and then I have to do some detail work and reassess and so on and so on. But the thing is, these retrogrades are meant to be like that. So it's meant to be to reassess something very strongly. Why do I say very strongly? Because these are 2 signs. The Virgo is about the devil is in the detail. So mind the details for sure. That's why I stressed on the dates here. When the Mercury is in Virgo, when the Mercury is in Leo. When it's in Virgo, mind the details. When it's in Leo, mind the heart and mind the truthfulness and the assertiveness of Leo in a positive way. In a negative way, it's arrogance. It's ego, it's going over the top, it's being dramatic and whatnot. Virgo, the positive thing of Virgo is having an eye for the detail. But, if you overdo it, you're just obsessively, going into the abyss and you become it. So every sign has an overdoing of something. And so, but what is mostly important is that, okay, when we have Mercury retrograde, even in the sign of Virgo, we are going to be analyzing, going for the details. So that would be the period up until from the 6th of August, you could say, up until the 16th of August, mind the details, and specifically in the area of your life that I'm going to mention in a minute. Be very analytical. Make sure that you're not overdoing it, right? So that you have the positive side of Virgo and seeing problems, fixing problems, and analyzing. Now, when it's in Leo, which will be on the 29th, on the 16th of August, it will be in Leo up until the 9th of September. So that's a long time. And then again, it will be in Leo, yes, from the 16th of August up until the 9th of September is going to be in Leo. Then the focus is more towards truthfulness, honesty, sharing your energy, your inspiration with others from the heart. But again, doing it in an assertive way, not doing it in the cocky, kind of arrogant way. And in that overdose of being bossy and I'm stubborn, because Leo is a fixed sign. I'm stubborn and it's my way or the highway. And everyone has to, because Mercury in Leo is very proud. And Mercury is our thinking and the way that we communicate. And when it's in Leo, those people, natally born with Mercury in Leo, they kind of stick very much to their thoughts and their communication. And when someone else is kind of challenging it, they see it quite as personal. And they want to, to stick to their own thoughts. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but taking it so personal is, of course, not the meaning of all of this. And then it can turn into arrogance when we go too far with the Mercury in Leo. Again, not everyone with Mercury in Leo is arrogant. They can be great speakers. They can be writers who've got something to say and they say it from the heart, etc., etc. Now, what is so important of this Mercury retrograde? It is whilst it is in Leo. And I'll tell you why, because there's one aspect, and we already had it, and it's quite erratic, it's quite restless, it wants actually to wake you up, and it wants it to do in an instant, and it wants it to do with a bit of drama probably. And why is that? Because we're going to have 3 times Mercury square Uranus. 3 times. And Mercury, when it does that, it's going to be approximately around 27 degrees of Leo, squaring up to Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus. So we call that a square, which is tension. First, the details. When is this happening? Exactly this Mercury square Uranus 3 times. First, we already had it when Mercury was already going direct in the shadow period on the 21st, 22nd of July. Then we already had that square. So think about what was happening around the 21st, 22nd of July. The second time, but in a retro phase, Mercury is again going back to that 27 degrees of Leo. It's going to square Uranus again at 27 degrees of Taurus on the 18th of August. And that's when Jupiter squares Saturn as well. So a very important time. And the third time, when Mercury goes direct again at 27 degrees of Leo, squaring 27 degrees of Taurus, the Uranus and the Mercury in Leo on the 6th to 7th of September. So you see that, hey, the universe is trying to tell us something, and very strongly, and 3 times. And this is like, Mercury is communication and information. So this is a bit like in a square to Uranus. Uranus wants to free us up. It's nothing more, nothing less. That's why they say that when you were born with a Mercury-Uranus aspect, it's about the genius. It's about having insights. It's about seeing things avant la lettre. It's about having those epiphanies and you don't know where it's coming from. It's called intuition. And now with this Mercury in a square to Uranus, it means information that will come to us or that we will speak ourselves. So it's about communication for sure, but it's sudden And it's disruptive. There's a disruptive element there because it's Uranus. And Uranus is not disrupting something that is stable. Uranus is disrupting it to make it free, to wake you up and to clear it up, so to speak. A square always means tension. So that's why when people have Mercury square Uranus in their natal chart, for instance, you know that their mind is sometimes everywhere, depending on where it is in, you know, in which sign the Mercury is. But they are everywhere with the mind. Yes, they want to do it. They have that idea, and then they have that splendid idea. But they are very fast, quick thinkers. And it is a bit out of balance. Why? Because it's a square, because it's tension. So do we have to be afraid of that? No. On the contrary, because what Uranus wants is to wake us up and to tell us the truth, period. And to let us see the truth, period. And definitely in Leo, because Leo wants the truth as well. It's a very proud, I don't know why I have this accent now, but it's a very proud sign, you know, it's the sign of the king and the queen. So it wants loyalty, it wants warmth, it wants assertiveness, it wants integrity, right? These are all the good stuff of Leo. And that's why we're going to have those shakeups. And a lot of people will say, oh, yes, around the 21st, 22nd of July, there was a bit of a communication hiccup or whatever. So when that happens to you, getting information that is a bit shocking, or you are telling something to others and you think afterwards, oh my goodness, what did I do? What did I do? So a lot of people are going to be very honest, very blunt, very saying the truth. And of course, we all know that some people can take that, some people can't. And sometimes it's not the best to do in a situation, and sometimes it is. But now we have that energy that the more you want to suppress the truth, the more it's going to flip out in a different way. For instance, let's say you have this in your 10th house of work, and you have a boss that really, does this to you, but of course, he's your boss and you respect, or she's your boss and you respect it, and it's not your company, and you do your work, and the money pays the bills, and maybe more than just the bills. So you're keeping your mouth shut, right? And you don't tell honestly what's on your heart, because, it's out of your control and they're not going to change anyways. So you but when you boil that up too much, when you suppress that too much, it can come out in a way that you really least expect it, and you don't want it. Let's say you're at your work, you're in sales, for instance, your boss is there, and there's a client, and you're doing your best, and so on and so on. And then your boss in front of of that client is really giving you a hard time, saying, what the hell are you doing? And that in itself could say, hey, who do you think you are? I'm fed up with you, with your stupid BS, right? And this Mercury square Uranus, that bold energy, that suppressed energy, I would say, can come up then. And of course, you will have to take consequences, right? And Uranus is about cutoffs. So the consequence could be like, this boss is really like, what? Mercury in Leo, being proud, your prideness is being hurt there, that wound, that childhood wound. Leo is a sign of the child as well, or young people. And you could say, what did I do? Okay, it was the truth, but hey, and then they fire you, for instance. That's also Mercury square Uranus. You have to take the consequences of that big mouth, right? And even when it was the truth. Now, on another level, you could say it was the best thing for you, because Uranus is not going to take away something that is still important for you. I always say that. When people have Uranus square Mercury in their chart, or Uranus opposite Venus, or whatever, that Uranus is, it reflects that in your life you're ready to let go. You're ready. Maybe unconscious, Conscious, you might think, oh, I'm still bonded. But it's about detachment. It's about cutting off. And it's about you're ready. Of course, forewarned is forearmed. So if you know that there is a person that represents that Mercury in your chart, or maybe your seventh house, and that you have suppressed things, start already now with slowly but surely say things from the heart, so it doesn't blow up all of a sudden, because no one likes that, right? Well, maybe some. So, and yes, some truths can come out that are really, really shocking. That you say, well, I didn't know that. That person likes me? Huh? It can be in a positive way as well. Maybe you have Mercury in your 11th house, going backwards in Leo, and then a friend, you are single, and a friend just says, I love you more than just a friend. And it's shocking. You see, it can be either, it doesn't have to be that dramatic and so on. It can be dramatic in a very romantic and in a very beautiful way as well. So there's unexpectedness involved here. Another thing that is so crucial with this Mercury position at 27 degrees of Leo, it's on the fixed star Regulus. And fixed star Regulus is about ambition. So we are all going to be in that area of life where Leo is, we're going to be very ambitious. You know, we're going to be able to have that goal for the future and wanting a lot. So it's a big ego here. It's a big thing. So be aware of that. And because egos are involved. So it's not going to be, it's a very important month. August is actually the most important month because we're having at the same time Jupiter square Saturn. So we're all trying to implement the new, although we're still with one leg in the old, with Saturn there squaring up to Jupiter. But we're trying, right? We're doing two steps forward, one step back, two steps forward, one step back. And in the midst of this, because this is a stressful energy, we have to watch our mouth. That's basically what it is. And expect that other people will. And of course, when we are under stress, we're going to, the things that we suppress, it's going to come up, right? Or under the influence of, I don't know what, maybe alcohol or whatnot. Be aware of what you're saying, right? With this Mercury square Uranus. And you're going to say the truth, but look at it. It's definitely a wake-up call for sure. Now, let's have a look at, very quickly, I don't want to, because the introduction is so much more important than all just the different signs, but I want to have a look at where is this happening, this communication and this Uranus, this very electric energy in your chart. For Aries, it starts the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, of course, which is your 6th house. So that's going to be more towards your work, your day-to-day routines, analyze it, make it better. You're at a time here where you can improve. If you don't work, it's your day-to-day routines. Improve them. Look at them in a new, fresh way. How can you do things differently? And that takes time, but do that so that you can be more efficient afterwards. And then it goes into Leo, which is your 5th house. Now, for you, dear Aries people, it's going to be quite some fun. Literally, because this Aries energy of yours is trining the Leo energy. But still, Mercury in the 5th house, communication with lovers, with children, with projects that you want, with hobbies, the way that you want to enjoy yourself. There's something about testing the values of yourself. Uranus in the 2nd house. So test it with your values. If I go with this lover, is this okay for me? The value of this is this, and so on and so on. Taurus, this is a fellow earth sign, of course, Mercury in Virgo in your 5th house. So for you, there could be a lot of more plans to have fun, to talk and communicate with your children in a different way, and to reassess that, to think about projects, hobbies that you once did that you want to redo. So this is lovely energy for you. And then when it shifts into Leo, it's more about your home. So, and you. So there could be this clash, but you are the one that is saying, hey, I had enough. Uranus in the 1st house. I'm gone here. I'm done. Right? Because the 4th house is your home, is your family. So there might be something coming up at home with a parent, or just in that area of life where things, communications around that. Some strong communication could happen there as well. Geminis, this is your ruler Mercury, right? So super important for you. And it is happening in Virgo in your 4th house. So in the beginning, there's a bit of tension. There's a lot of thinking about your ancestors, your family, your home. So you could be doing some reassessment in the home, maybe thinking about selling a home, buying a new home, or redoing something at home, or going back to your home country, for instance, looking at pictures of your childhood, Mercury in the 4th house. And then it shifts into Leo, which is going to be a bit easier for you because Leo is a sextile to Gemini energy, and it's in your 3rd house. So for you, watch your tongue specifically, because as Uranus is in the 12th house of the unconscious. So there could be that stuff that you stuffed up and that now comes out of the blue, or a communication from someone else that is quite shocking. Whatever. And the 3rd house is about siblings. It's about neighborhood, people in the neighborhood. It's a good time, though, when you have your own business, to redo your PR, which is marketing, social media, and so on. Cancerians. This is starting with Mercury retrograde in Virgo in your 3rd house, which is nice for you. Cancer and Virgo goes well together, and it's a sextile energy. In the 3rd house, it means that you can redo if you have your own business, for instance, another way of communicating, revisiting your website, redoing it, redoing social media. It could be a busy time for you, where there's lots of phones and calls and emails and whatnot. And if you go travel around the time where it is in Virgo, it could be going back to a country you already visited, but it can also be like you rethinking a lot of how you're thinking as well. If you do have computers and cell phones, like most people, make sure that there's a backup as well. Then it goes into your 2nd house, where Mercury is in Leo and squaring to the 11th house, which is the house of friends. There could have been some communication with friends that is upsetting when it comes to values. So whatever it is, revisit it, restore it, and look at your own values. Whatever was happening with friends, whatever is happening there, look at your own values and question them as well. There could also be on a money level. For others, it more has to do with money, to rethink what you're doing. A goal might be a very innovative goal of yours, but the way that you deal with your money can be a little bit different, right? So restore that. Leos, of course, it starts with in your 2nd house, this Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and that is all about your money and your values. So there could be something that you want more in detail, and improving that, improving your financial situation, improving your self-worth that comes from the self. And then, of course, it shifts in your 1st house. And that is, the whole intro was about you. The whole intro was about you. So this is in your 1st house. This is you and other people. This is you and communication towards other people. And it can clash with your work, because this Uranus is in the 10th house. So there could be something freeing up happening when it comes to your work. If you do not work, it can be parents as well, or how you profile yourself in the world. But definitely, the whole intro is for you. There's something about you, how you want to let yourself seen by others in a totally different way. So make use of it to improve it. Virgos, of course, this is in your sign. So a lot of you, the same as the Leos, there's something about you that you want to change and that you want to show to others in your communication in a different way. And you're going to analyze it, and you're going to go to the nitty-gritty of it. And so that's a good thing. The intro was absolutely about you and how to do things differently. Also in your communications one-to-one, you want it to be better. You want it to be more efficient. You want it to be more clear and pure as well. And you're going to, especially when Mercury goes direct in your sign. That's on the 9th and the 10th of September. And then it goes back into your 12th house in Leo, squaring up to Uranus in the 9th house. Now, that links the unconscious, the 12th house, and the 9th house is your belief system, but also other countries, travel, the metaphysical side of life. So there might have happened there whilst you were traveling, whilst you were reading, studying something in the unconscious that was triggered. And you don't really know. It's like almost that information that is very obvious for you, but that you're hiding it because it's too hurtful or for whatever reason. Mercury in the 12th house. Mercury is your ruler. So be open for the truth and for those blind spots. And what can help you is indeed that Uranus that gives you that sudden insight and that helicopter view. Don't run away for it. Don't put your head in the sand is actually the advice to the Virgos. Librans, this is starting in the Virgo, the 12th house, the Mercury retrograde. So for you there is some analyzing to do of the unconscious. And that can be done by dreams, by meditation, by you taking maybe a vacation if you can. But Mercury in the 12th is a bit like you feel a bit lost when it comes to your mind. And that's okay. But it's about restoring that and restructuring your life in a better way. Now, when it goes into Leo, which sextiles your energy in the 11th house, there could have been an issue with a friend or with friends or a group of people or some goal or goals that triggered you in a way, and that there is some transformation going on because Uranus is in the 8th house. Could be related to money as well. So make sure if you give money away to friends, that it's all written on paper or whatnot, so that you're not going to have some surprises there. But for most of you, this is about deep psychological stuff, truths that come out, and that have to do as well with some transformation towards your connections with others and with groups of people and the like-minded people. Scorpio, this is starting in your 11th house with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, which is nice. So that could mean rekindle with old friends, groups of people, associations. Also, a goal that you had in the past, you want to go to it again, to that goal and explore a little bit, analyze it and make it more efficient. But then it shifts into Leo, which is more important for you, because that's also a fixed sign like yours, and we call that the fixed cross. So when Mercury will be in Leo, Uranus will be in the 7th house. So there's something about work and your romantic partner, if you have them. If not, there's a connection between other people, one-to-one, could be clients, business partners, and your work. So there's something unsettling here. But the goal is to free yourself up. The goal is definitely to have more space, to have more freedom, to have more innovation in relationships. And that has to do with your work as well. So a bit stressful though, yes, but the goal is there could be a communication from your work coming up that is a bit like, I didn't expect that. But the goal is to improve your connections. Sagittarians, this is in the 10th house, this Mercury retrograde in Virgo. So they're a bit stressful though. So that could be like, but stressful because it demands energy, right? And it's about rethinking your job, if you have one, rethinking your career. If you don't have a career, it's more about your parents or one of your parents. There is a shift going on in their lives or in your communication with them. If it's not that, it's how you profile yourself towards the world. But for many people, it's their work. They're going to revisit it. They're going to review it. They want to make it more efficient, make it more, go to the nitty-gritty and the detail. What is it that you want to be of service of and that suits you very well? So that is that Mercury retrograde. When it goes into Leo, it's good for you because it's just like the Aries people. It's a trine to your energy. It's fiery energy, and Mercury in the 9th house going backwards, and yes, squaring into your 6th house of your day-to-day life and your day-to-day routines. It could be simply that you go back to a country, that you travel to a place that you already were in the past, and Uranus in the 6th means your day-to-day life completely shifts. Or you hear a communication from abroad, Mercury in the 9th, and that is a bit upsetting. It's like, what's happening? And your day-to-day routine is a bit conflicted because of it, or you have to kind of be very hands-on and decide in a moment what you're going to do with your time. But all in all, it could also mean simply that you're going to do exams, you're going to revisit the same, you have the second chance, is what I mean, right? You're going to do some exams, you're going to study, you're going to revisit the content that you already did, and that causes a lot of, busyness and then sudden events, or you have to adjust very much to your day-to-day life. Now, Capricorns, this is starting the Mercury retrograde in a fellow earth sign, which is nice for you, the 9th house, Mercury retrograde there. It's quite fluent for you. It's maybe going back to a country you already visited. It's can also be having a second chance for an exam, and you're studying, it's going well. It's a trine energy. It's editing a book. It's reading a book that you already read about, the metaphysical side of life, for instance. It's rethinking the higher mind, and it's re-inspecting, so to speak, reassessing analytically your belief in the world, your belief systems, let's put it that way. And then it goes into the 8th house, where it is a little bit more deep and intense. Mercury in the 8th house squaring up to Uranus in the 5th. That could be sexuality, that could be things that are hidden, that all of a sudden with this Mercury in the 8th house and Uranus in the 5th, love affairs, or there's something that comes in the open. On another level, this could be the 5th house is children, and the Mercury is in the 8th house. So it's like the communication with a child drastically changes because they go through a huge upgrade, right? It can be like they're getting older and they're going to school, to a different school. And there's a lot of stuff there that is revisited in a way that you think about the transformation of life. Topics like life and death can come up and can become very important. Fears can come up as well. And but it's all about freeing up your heart, for sure, with Uranus there in your 5th house. Aquarians, this is happening in your 8th house with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo. So there is a lot of deep stuff going on there. It's delving deep into the nitty-gritty. You could tackle your fears. In that 8th house, you could think about topics that are very deep, the occult, life and death, thinking about finances as well, with finances that you share with someone else. But it's very analytical and it's very detail oriented. Then it shifts into your 7th house, this Mercury in Leo, where it's going to square up to Uranus in your 4th. This is very, very important. So the timing when it's in Leo is more important for you. And this is all about your connections. So your connections are going to be triggered. If you are in a relationship, there's something that could be spoken of. It could be the spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend that is, giving you an information that is, what? And it shakes up your emotional well-being. But whatever it is, cherish it, that it comes out now. Or it could be you doing a communication. But I think it's more the other person. The other person definitely has something to say. And it could be... even though it might be stressful in the beginning, it's there to free you up and it's there to put you on a higher level and to get that upgrade. Pisceans, this is starting for you in your opposite sign in the 7th house of Virgo. So this is about speaking and communicating with that loved one. If you're single, there could be someone coming back into your life from your past, not necessarily, but if it does and you don't want it, you shut the door. You don't open the door, I mean. But if you do, there could be rekindling of an old connection and seeing them in a new way, because it's the ruler of your 7th house is in the 7th. So you can restore and relook Definitely some contracts with business partners as well. So for you specifically, it's the period, you could say, for contracts, big contracts like with clients, with, marriage contracts and so on. It's always recommendable to do it after the Mercury retrograde. So when it goes direct again, and that is at 21 degrees of Leo at the 29th of August. So that pocket of time, the 6th and the 29th of August, revisit your contracts. And then, so it could mean that you have to restore something, that you have to shift something from an existing contract. Then it shifts into Leo, your second house, where it squares up to Uranus in the third. So that is more about your day-to-day life. So that could be at your work, there's a communication, or there is a shift in how you do the work, your day-to-day life, how you are doing your health as well. There could be a shift, and Uranus in the third, it might be like an idea or a communication that comes in through an email, through a sibling, through a neighbor, and it's liberating, but it's at the same time a bit shocking. It's you didn't expect that information, but if you work with it, you can definitely restore and redo your routines in a better way for the future. So when Mercury goes direct, you're better off then. Anyways, that's it. That was it. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the Mercury retrograde. Make the best out of it. And if you want to book a reading, click the link below. I have my website page, and of course, comment, always like, subscribe, and Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye bye.